What's good, folks? How's everybody doing out there today on May the 8th of 2025? Of course, I am the host of Real Talk for Real Men. My name is Lee Black, and for those of you who follow me on a regular basis, you know that typically I am on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But occasionally, I like to pop in and give my commentary on all the things that catch my attention. I have been gone visiting family in New York, so I just kind of wanted to pop in and do a quick little rundown of some things that's kind of I've been watching from afar because of though if you don't know, I am the opinionated person that I am. I'm an opinionated SOB, the Black Archie Bunker for sure. And I see at least got one visitor popping in, the super fan herself. Grown woman, don't try me. How you doing, sweetheart? CC, good to see you. You say you still haven't seen the movie yet. Man, do yourself a favor. And she's referring to Sinners, the Ryan Coogler film. It is fantastic. It is continuing to break records and do big things. I'm very proud of that film. It's one of the first films I've seen in a long time that I actually can recommend and I truly enjoyed. So, CC, do yourself a favor. So, I am going to be talking about Saints and Sinners today, and that is the title of my commentary. But I'm not talking about the movie Sinners. I did that, I guess, a week or two ago. But this time I am going to be talking about the saints and the sinners as it pertains to the fuckery and the foolishness that is America itself. And so I want to state right off the bat, my opinions are mine alone. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of those who share the platform with me on a regular basis of the show. For those of you that follow, you know, there is a family. And so these are the opinions, thoughts coming directly from me, Lee Black. I own them. I stand on them 10 toes down. And so I'm going to be talking about saints and sinners because unless you've been under a rock, today we selected a new pope. Yes, folks, the white smoke rose out of whatever that they call it, and that signified that we now have a brand new pope. And I've been watching pretty much this all day from CNN because I just find the whole thing fascinating. The whole idea of the conclave and what goes into selecting a pope, what he stands for. And it's so fascinating because of how invested people are. So for those of you that may watch this or have followed this, I'm truly curious as to what you think about it because watching the CNN take, man, they are super excited and everybody is really and truly excited because this was the first American pope. So let me bring you up to speed in case you don't follow this. Cardinal Robert Prevost of the United States has been selected as the next pope. For those of you who may really be uninformed, the Pope is the supreme leader of the Catholic religion, which there are over 1.4 billion Catholics around the world. So he is the head of the largest denomination of religion on the face of the earth, the Catholics. And a Pope basically sits in the place of Peter. Yes, that Peter that was a follower of Jesus Christ. The Catholic religion, the Pope, the position of the Pope is the successors to Peter, whom Jesus Christ gave the keys to the kingdom. For those of you who may not know religion, when Jesus Christ was about to ascend and turn his life over, he essentially handed over the responsibility of leading the other disciples to Peter. And if you read your Bible, he talks about giving Peter the keys to the kingdom, and whatever Peter binds on earth will be bound in heaven. So the idea of a pope, this individual is a successor in a direct lineage of Peter. They stand in the most holy place. And for that reason, you hear oftentimes the Pope referred to as the Holy Father, the eminent one. He is supposed to be infallible and all of those things. Thank you, CC, says here in Facebook. And so this is one of the most prestigious positions on the planet. In many cases, some would say even greater than a president, because the Pope is in that position until he dies, pretty much. But also, this is an individual that leads 1.4 billion followers, and the Catholic religion is recognized as its own separate entity. Rome, where the Vatican sits and he presides over that, governments do not have power over a pope. He is recognized as a separate entity, has a seat at the world table. His opinions matter, all of those things. So they have selected this Cardinal Robert Prevost. He's the first American-born pope. He hails from Chicago, Illinois. He's 69 years old. He has a leader, they say, with global experience. He served as a bishop in Peru, and he's selected as his name, Leo, which in Latin means lion. And his representation is supposed to be that of standing and representing for the poor, walking with the poor, and commiserating with the condition. And they are excited. You know, the world is on fire. Even the presidents themselves have said some things. So I want to share with you quickly what some of them said. Former President Joe Biden, he says, may God bless Pope Leo of Illinois. Jill and I congratulate him and wish him success. Former President George W. Bush said that he and First Lady Laura Bush were delighted to congratulate former Cardinal Robert Prevost on his election to the papacy, calling it a historic and hopeful moment for Catholics in America and for the faithful around the world. Former President Barack Obama says that this is a historic day for the United States, and we will pray for him as he begins the sacred work of leading the Catholic Church and setting an example for so many, regardless of faith. So, folks, this clearly, for many individuals, is just news that you can't beat. They're excited. They literally talked about this all day. And so this is one of those things where I just wanted to know from people how do you feel about this? Because I'm going to be frank here because you know my mouth. I saw mostly white people. I didn't see a whole lot of black people getting excited. So, of course, I'm talking to my people. How do you feel about the Pope in general, about having the selection be someone that is a cardinal born and bred in the United States of America? What does that mean for your life? CCU says Trump is pissed because of his stance on immigration and his social media. You mentioned that MAGA is upset. And so thank you for sharing that, because I haven't followed really what the reaction is from his base. And I have not yet gone onto Twitter to see what Black folks think about the Pope. But I want to share my screen. I want to give you an idea of the magnitude of what this selection means, because this is way bigger than electing a president. Yes, even a president. So I want to share my screen so that you get a little bit of the feel around what this means. I'm not going to play it all, but I want to play about 3 to 4 minutes of this so you can see what this looked like in real time after the smoke came white, signifying that a selection had been made. And for those of you who don't know about the conclave, he has to get at least 2/3 of the votes from 134 cardinals. They're locked in a room. They're locked in space until they select a pope. He has to get at least 2/3 of the vote being selected to this position. So I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can hopefully see what this looks like in real time in terms of the magnitude of what it means to become the Pope. So check this out. Check it out. Galileo, Galileo. I don't know what the fuck they're saying. I'm just making up my own Italian shit. Galileo. It just sounds like some shit that they would be yelling. Okay. But look at the football. Look at the balcony. Look at the majesty. Look at the pump. Look at the circumstance. Look at the beauty of their robes, the bright colors, the humility on his face. Standing there, receiving the glory, the praise, and look at those sea of people waiting for this all to take place. He looks like such a pious person. That humility. And look at it. Look at that crowd, folks. Trump would boast. You would never hear the end of his boasting if he could get the crowd like to come forward to listen to him. Yes, indeed. You don't get to see this majesty. Look at the guard standing out. This is just majestic on every level, folks. Whatever the fuck they saying, Viva la Pope! Viva la Pope! There's men, women, children. Now look at the faces. This is in Rome, so you can see a whole lot of black faces. But there is the Pope, folks. This is what the world, we're told, has been waiting for. Look at the priest. And then, of course, he did give a speech. I'm going to stop it here, folks, because I want to now just hopefully you just drink that whole majestic event in. CC says that he studied at Villanova in Pennsylvania. You said, check out the brother's face when he's on the balcony. And you said Trump could never get that type of support. Absolutely, I agree with you on all of that. So this is clearly for many people a historic day. And there's a lot of hope floating around from what I've seen from TV. I don't know if that translates to the bros, to us. They're also saying how this is so significant because of having an American president, especially when we consider America's stance on the world scene as of right now. Now, that's where I want to talk about the element of saints and sinners as we all hail the new pope. Now, folks, what the fuck does all of this mean? Having a new pope do any of you really think this is going to usher in some new era of peace and prosperity? His representation of the poor. Now that we have someone from America, is that going to in any way, speak to the poor and speak to our place being recognized and we're being treated better as far as humanity goes? What does all of this mean for the Pope and the position of his infallibility? And of course, if you're not familiar with Catholicism, Mary is raised to the levels of saints as well. They say, Holy Mary, Mother of God, Well, look, I'm about to share my views. And as I said, these are my views and my views only. I watched this event today because I found it absolutely disgusting. I'm disgusted by the whole pomp and circumstance of it all. For those of you who may not know, the hypocrisy that I see in organized religion, it chafes my ass to the very core. And when I sit and I look at the Pope standing out there receiving that type of praise as if he's fucking Michael Jackson, this motherfucker ain't made no albums. He haven't made any lifelong songs that I know of that I can dance to in perpetuity. He's just a man that was elected to a position and sitting in a place as if he's a god. And I find it disgusting. But I find it disgusting, not just from my opinion, for those of you who don't know. As much as I have my ways, I am a student of the Bible. And this goes against everything that the Bible stands for as far as true Christianity. And it certainly goes against everything Jesus Christ stands for. Folks, I'm going to read something to you. When Jesus walked the earth, And in his day, there was a similar circumstance where he had to deal with the Jews running the synagogue. And at that time, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who held the highest positions, and those are the ones who actually condemned him with the sneaky ass trial and had him put to death, because they hated that he came to earth to really represent the poor. And they were sitting in Jerusalem, in the temple, in a place, a holy place, and they weren't doing God's will. And I'm going to read for you, and I want you to read this on your own, Matthew chapter 23. And I'm going to read just for you a couple of these verses so you get an idea of what Jesus, whom they claim to follow, in this case, the Pope is supposed to be the successor to Peter with the responsibilities of binding souls to take to heaven. That is what the Pope represents. But I want to give you an idea what Jesus Christ thought of the Pharisees of his day, and I truly suspect what he thinks of this pomp and circumstance, fuckery and foolishness that we witness today. Chapter 23, it says, then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and their tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplace and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Folks, that comes right out of the Bible. That's the account of Matthew, chapter 23. For those of you who don't know, verses 1 through 12. Read it for yourself. This is not coming from me. This is coming from the Bible. For those of you who believe in God. And since we're talking about religion, the Bible, saints and sinners, that's how Jesus Christ felt about this type of shit. These people who, with their fancy robes and the different color robes and the different hats that mean different things, because it shows at what level of religiosity that you're at, who's more pious, because the hat stands taller, the robe has extra tassels on it. God and Jesus don't hear that type of fuckery and foolishness. If you really know your Bible, folks, the Bible speaks about God hearing prayers on bended knee with humility, humble, quiet prayers, not showy displays. And for that reason, that is why when Jesus took up the mantle to become the actual Messiah and take that role on, he literally ripped the cord from the synagogue and literally beat those sons of bitches out of his father's house. That is what he thought of them. And that is why they had him put to death, because he was not willing to be a part of that system that stood on pomp, circumstance, fuckery, and foolishness, but actually was all about sin and a showy display. And for that reason, folks, I despise it. And in case you want to know, I don't only feel this way about the Catholic religion, I feel this way about all religious ceremonies that put on that type of showy display. The money-grubbing preachers, the evangelists that show their wealth, because that is never what the Bible teaches. It's not what God expects, and that is not what true followers of Christ are about. So, yes, these are my opinions, but fuck a Pope and everything that he stands for. That's what I say. All right. We talked about the great saint. Of course, I'm going to spend some time talking about these sinners. Let's talk about Diddy, folks. The selection of his trial is on the way, in case you don't know. And so Diddy refused to take a plea, and we are now fully in the throes of selecting jurors to basically decide his fate. But there's some things on the horizon here, folks. The prosecutors, they fear that one of the key accusers may not show up to take the stand. According to the New York Post, the woman was set to testify that Combs coerced her into sexual acts. But the prosecutors told the judge during jury selection that they have been having a hard time contacting the accuser or her lawyer, revealing that the unnamed attorney has been dealing with undisclosed personal issues. Folks, does something stink to you? This man has already been tried in the public, and in many circles, he's guilty no matter what. He's a true victim of the Me Too fuckery and foolishness. And he's been locked up while they've been building their case. And now that we are here, they're telling us that, quote, we do not know whether she intends to appear, and we are trying very hard to find out because we are having trouble communicating with her counsel. The accuser in question does not live locally and may not show up even if we try to enforce the subpoena and want to call her. It goes on to say how the accuser has not been named publicly. For those of you who don't know, I despise everything the Me Too campaign talks about because it is a modern day witch hunt. And in doing so, it puts the burden of proof of the person accused to say that it didn't happen. And it allows an accuser to make a complaint and make an accuse of something as serious as rape in retrospect, regardless of the time. And so when you look at some of these things against him, this accuser says that these acts took place between 2008. Really? So we in 2025 and somebody rapes you, assaults you, you get to wait almost 20 fucking years before you realize that you've been wronged. And you get to hide behind the idea that this person is so powerful that you were afraid of them. Fuck that. I despise their hypocrisy and all of that. And I think it's truly unfair. And I, for one, am rooting for Diddy like at nobody's business. And this is not me saying that he's innocent, but I just think it's fucked up that this man has been in the public eye all his life. He's the greatest showman. He's had all these parties, and we're being told that his use of baby oil is some kind of sin, and that we're being told that a freak-off party is a bad thing, when many of us, and many times, we have had these same type of gatherings, freak-off parties or whatnot. That's my sister calling. And some kind of way to have a party and people fuck afterwards, something is wrong with that. We've committed a sin. Are you kidding me? And the fact that Diddy is sitting there and none of these people have come forward, this is the last thing I'm going to say on that. Diddy's going to get his day in court. And I hope he's got the right attorney. He's added a black female attorney to his counsel. And I'm going to tell you like this. I hope he tell everything his head can hold. Motherfuckers didn't come for stand up in his place. I would run my mouth like I got diarrhea. Actors, athletes, musicians, artists, politicians, I wouldn't give a fuck. If you was at my party, I will put you all there on Front Street and have cameras at every last one of your fucking doors so that you can answer the same fuckery and foolishness that I have. You want me to believe that of all the power people that was there, he's the only one that ripped your musty drawers off and fucked you in your ass and snatched you by your neck and threatened you, but you're only coming for him? Diddy, if some kind of way this message gets to you or anybody that follows me can get to you, my brother, tell everything your motherfucking big teeth head could hold and put them all on the spot if I was you. All right, let's talk about another sinner, folks, Mr. Shannon Sharpe. Mr. Sharpe himself is still under attack, folks. Now, there's some good and some bad here. Shannon Sharpe is still doing Shay Shay. If you don't believe me, go to his channel. He ain't slowing down. And that I love. I love the fact that this is not a time to hide. You fucked up by offering that skinny little flat ass white girl $10 million for cakes or whatever you was going to do for, when, in my opinion, this was just a sexual relationship between a dominant older man and a white bitch that liked to get choked and bent up inside of a pretzel. That's my opinion of it. But you fucked up when you turned the faucet on, brother. Once you did that, under the guise that you didn't want your family to be experiencing, dude, once the shit was out in the open, your family know. And the idea that you offer $10 million, now all kinds of roaches and rats is coming out the woodwork to basically try to get their piece of it too. His ex has come out of the woodwork saying that she's praying for the safety of Jane Doe. Folks, why do these bitches get to hide under a Jane Doe when you're accusing him in broad daylight? Bring your ass into the light. For those of you who don't know, I said many, many times before that you fucking with the wrong one. He should have held court the moment that malicious accusations came forward, and I would have put her and her whole fucking family and everybody she know on blast. I would say, yes, I choked that bitch. I would have held the collar up that I used. This bitch, I walk her like a dog. I put my big toe in her father's booty and her mother sucks my feet too. That's the problem. When you turn the faucet on, you open the door to fucking vermin to come in. And so, my brother, I hope that you recognize the mistakes and you continue to do your show, power through it. This is civil. Hope you don't pay these motherfuckers nothing. Take a page out of Orange Agent's book himself. Even if you lose, put your attorneys on it. Cold, dead hands. Fuck these no good bitches. Yay for the saints. Yay for the sinners. Let's talk about some more sinners. These are more people I have a lot of disdain for. Folks, is it just me, or are we not seeing more televangelists find themselves in the news lately in hot water, and rightfully so? Because as I told you, I despise these sons of bitches with every part of my being. But here they are in the news like nobody's business. And the first one I want to talk about is Jim Bakker. Now, many of you may not even remember Jim Bakker. That son of a bitch, I'm surprised that he's still living, to be honest with you. I can't believe this bastard is still living as much money as he's flagged out of people over in his lifetime. But this son of a bitch is basically begging, talking about he needs $1 million or he'll be out on the street. And in case you don't know, this is not the first time he went to this thing. He did this recently, like a year ago, saying that he had to raise $1 million and basically saying that if he don't get $1 million, the church is going to be in trouble. But he's saying now that individually, they're going to throw him out in the streets. I hope they drag that old bastard out by his feet and be bumping his motherfucking heads down the very steps that he is living in. This motherfucker has lived a life of luxury. I bet you his hands is soft as baby shit because he ain't done an honest day's work in his motherfucking life. And the idea that you think people ought to save you because you mismanaged millions for decades. You money grubbing, ugly, skeleton looking motherfucker. I hope you're sick and it eats you from the inside out. I despise that motherfucker. And for any of you dumb fucks that send him a red dime, you ought to get thrown out of your own house too. Fuck y'all, you too damn dumb for that to even fall for some stupid shit like that. So fuck you, Jim Bakker. And just to show I'm not a racist, let's talk about another one of these false prophet pastors, Mr. John Gray. I don't even know who the fuck this motherfucker is, but I call him the cheating preacher because this son of a bitch held some kind of podcast, and I got to share this with you. And I'll show you a picture of this ugly motherfucker here in a minute, but I just want to read something. He's a mega church pastor. I guess this is in North Carolina or something, and has cheated on his wife for years. And he held an hour-long podcast called Dear Future Wifey, where he apologized to his ugly ass wife for cheating on her for all these many years. And folks, he's a disciple of Joel Osteen, that devil-looking motherfucker, him as well too. But this motherfucker talking about, once again, begging for money, saying your tax-deductible gift supports our mission of reporting the truth and restoring the church. Donate $50 or more to the Roy's Report this month, and you can elect to receive a saving faith, finding myself, God, and one another outside of the Faith Church. Ain't this a bitch? These people have no shame. Out of Greenville, South Carolina, folks, these people have no shame. He said that he wanted to share his story so that he can help others who may be struggling. And his fucking wife, Aventa, says that God told her to stay. I asked God for permission to leave, she said, and he told me not to leave because he was going to do something that would save other marriages through what he's doing here. I want to thank you for showing me what love of Christ looks like, because you loved a very unlovable man. And guess what this motherfucker is blaming his indiscretions on? Get this. He says, I was thrown away. I was spit on. I was maligned for the brokenness that was given to me on a grassy front yard at 4 years old when two men took my innocence. And that demon that entered me when they took my innocence sat dormant for years, waiting for me to get married to show up so I could fail. Only later did he realize he needed therapy for sexual abuse alongside Jesus to fix this trauma. He said he was raised as an only child by a Christian mother. He says she taught him to be sexually repressed. Get this, folks. He says, I had a wet dream, and I ran into my mother's room crying because I didn't know what had happened. She said, go take a bath, ask the Lord to forgive you, and go back to sleep. He says, I'm not angry at my mother. She is only who she is because that's what she was raised and taught. But what that tells me is that I didn't do a bad thing. I am bad. So now I'm sexually repressed. He says he was a virgin when he got married at the age of 37, but because of his childhood experiences, he struggles with other various sexual sins. Folks, you can't make this type of fuckery and foolishness up. First of all, he looked like a fucking fat faggot, and yes, I said it. Like he sucks dicks going away. But you want to sit here now as a man of God and blame your indiscretions on some shit that happened to you when you was 4. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible, but you're a motherfucking lie to be saying that it's only coming up now, and after marrying this gator-faced bitch, that now it's coming forth, and that's the reason why you sinning. And of course she's staying. She's not about to leave that money. He's a mega church pastor, folks. These fucking people are in it to win it to the end. And you dumb sons of bitches out there who pledging and giving money and tithing, y'all are enabling these fucking people to keep that fucking lifestyle going. And I might as well give some honorable mentions to the other fucking snakes in the barrel, Mr. T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, Kenneth Copeland, and Marvin Sapp. All of these sons of bitches are all snakes crawling around in a dirty barrel. And they're not men of God. They don't stand for the truth. And the Bible says, you know by the fruit that they bear. All of them are about money, power, and indiscretion. Every last one of them cockeyed sons of bitches. Yes, I said it. Fuck them all. And lastly, let's talk about a sinner, Smokey Robinson himself. Smokey Robinson, some of you might be saying, how the hell did Smokey Robinson get on the list of a sinner? Well, folks, Smokey Robinson, who is 85 years old, he is finding himself a victim of Me Too as well. He is now facing a $50 million. When they come for these black entertainers, they don't be coming with a little bit. They coming for 50 mil like they coming for Shannon Sharpe. According to this lawsuit done by these Mexican bitches who are his former servants, they detail allegations of how he touched them and how he overworked them, and they allege that just let me share some of this shit. First of all, they're anonymous. Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you already know these fucking rat wetback bitches need to be named. If you're going to come for Smokey, you ought to have your name. But their lawsuit includes claims of sexual battery, false imprisonment, negligence, and gender violence. An 85-year-old man, and they lay out how he assaulted them when he called them to the blue room in one of his residences. And they say that he would place a towel on the bed sheets prior to the alleged assault. Now, some of these assaults, folks, they go back to 2006. It's 2025. So, folks, we're almost talking about 20 years. So you're telling me that a 65-year-old man called you to his room and rubbed on you, touched on you, whatever the fuck you saying he did to you, and you couldn't fight him off, and you waited all these motherfucking years before you complained. Beyond the sexual misconduct allegations, the lawsuit details several workplace violations. Listen to this. All four women claim they worked 10-hour days, 6 days per week without receiving minimum wage or overtime compensation. They also allege working during the holidays without appropriate holiday rates. So wait a minute. You wetback bitches was probably in the country illegally, and you work for somebody famous, he paying you, but now you coming forth almost 20 years later talking about you had to work 10 hours. So fucking what? There's many of us that work 10-hour days. Many people have to work on the holidays. Bitch, you acting like you was cleaning up a slop house. You work in a fucking mansion, you stupid wetback bitches. And now you're complaining that you had to work overtime without compensation. Your bitches should have formed a union if you felt that bad about it. You get to work in his mansion. He got 4 different mansions. So he's not always at the same place. But when he called your greasy ass to clean up a little bit, how fucking difficult could it be to clean up after a fucking 65 to 85-year-old fucking multimillionaire? You weren't even cooking dinner for this man. And so what if he sat on the motherfucking bed with his naked and drying off? Now you coming forward, you lying bitches, you. And you're coming for Smokey and saying his wife was complicit in it. So I did this segment called Saints and Sinners because we live in such a fucked up world right now where people can sue for any and everything, and I'm sick of it. I hope this is leading towards the end of this whole fucking Me Too movement because it's become absolutely ridiculous that folks can come forward and just say shit, hide in anonymity, and then when they fucking get caught, they slink off like the low-down rats and snakes they are. Name these bitches, put them on Front Street, and I'm tired of you people getting accused of this, just taking this shit lying down. Stand up and call these fucking rats out for where they are. So I hope the Me Too movement gets put on blast, and I'm sick of this religious shit too because it's stinking all the way up to heaven, and when God decides to bring this whole motherfucker to an end, I will be happy whether I make it or not. So you saints and sinners, I said my say. Anyway, I'm Lee Black, and I'm going to go back to minding my business, as Lady D says on TFG Tonight with Brenton Hayes. Now, I'm going to make me a cup of tea and take me a hot bath and let these fucking people do what they do. God bless. Have a good night, folks. Saints and sinners, sons of bitches, low down rats and roaches.